Hey guys! I'm officially home from school and I graduated a week ago, so I'm super excited about that. It's been kind of bittersweet because I really miss everyone. I made such great friends there and had such memorable times. And if you've been following me for a while now, then you would know that about around this time last year, I also graduated. I just finished up my master's degree in interpreting and translation, and I've been doing a few videos on interpreting. Now, since most of what we learned was theoretical, I can't talk about the practical side of it and this is what interpreting is like, other than based on my experience in my internship that I did, which I did in a separate video. But one thing that I wanted to talk about quickly was one aspect of interpreting that I didn't really think of that I ended up liking, and that would be acting. So I've always been interested in acting. I did do some middle school plays and things, and I'm not really good at it at all, but I just think it's really fun. And then this takes me back to the time I was in a phonetics class when I was studying abroad in France, and we got to put on these headsets and we had to repeat after the professor and do the sounds the same way that they are pronounced by a native speaker, at least to the best of our ability. And the thing that I loved about that is she really emphasized the fact that she wanted us to imitate her exactly. So, if her tone went up, then so did mine. I would repeat it the same way with the same kind of emotion and emphasis, and it was so much fun because it felt like voice acting. Now, with interpreting, this past semester, we got to go into the booths and try to do some simultaneous interpreting. Now, what was fun was building up to that, we did shadowing, which meant that we would repeat exactly what that person said just seconds after they did. We would try to be as close to the speaker as possible. We would repeat the same thing they're saying in the same language exactly as they say it, trying to imitate everything. But when it comes to interpreting, of course, you're going into a different language. You are doing it from possibly Spanish to English or whatever. So in my case, that is what we would do most of the time, and occasionally we would go from English into Spanish. We still wanted to imitate the speakers, the way that they talked, the emotion and the emphasis that they put into their speech, any pauses, whatever, to make it sound as natural as possible, but to own the speech. And sometimes I'd get very carried away with it and really enjoy myself because even though simultaneous interpreting can be intimidating, I really liked the acting factor of it. So, what does that mean? Well, if a speaker would start getting excited, so would I. For instance, it was the president of Colombia gave a speech, and I can't exactly remember what it was about, but all I know was towards the end, he was like, and we will turn the clocks to the same hour all over the world, the hour of freedom, or something like that. I don't remember if it was freedom or what it was, but it was so funny because he got really into it and he was shouting, so then I started shouting in the booth as well. And I don't know, my teacher got a kick out of it, so it was really fun. And it's nice because the thing is, when you're interpreting, I guess you don't really realize what the audience is hearing. You just kind of hear yourself a little bit and you hear the speaker, but you don't hear yourself enough to know how pleasing you sound because you're so focused on kind of getting all the information, getting it as accurate as possible, rendering it grammatically correctly or however, but in that sense you're not so focused on your tone of voice and how you sound, how you're presenting it. And so I think it's really fun to focus on that once you get used to how close you should follow the speaker when you're interpreting, etc. So I think it's really fun because it can be just like acting in some ways because you're in the booth so no one could see you most of the time, which is nice because you have your privacy. And me, for instance, I talk a lot with my hands. So I'm able to sit in the booth and start flailing my arms around and start being as loud as I can or want to be and everything. Of course, I don't want to damage my listeners' ears, but if I get emotional and excited, then it is so much fun to do. So, the moral of all of that was, if you're into acting and languages and you're thinking of a career, something that may be fun, but not completely related, but just very slightly in a way that you wouldn't think, I would recommend trying out an interpreting class or something just to see if it's for you. Because I know that aspect of it was super fun. first of all, the privacy, but then also to be able to have fun with it and make it your own while still staying true to what the speaker is saying. And then you're helping people because, of course, you're making sure that the people that are listening can understand as well. Another thing is there is some acting involved in bilateral or consecutive or whatever you want to call it when you're with multiple people. So for instance, like my internship, I was with a doctor and a patient and I had to go back and forth between them. And if you've watched my other videos, you would know that I had to speak in the first person. So I also had to be someone who was not completely myself. I wasn't really allowed to intervene whatsoever, at least that's what we were taught. We just have to be the doctor and be the patient, which can be a little bit crazy, at least it sounds that way, but it's really fun because if your patient says like, I don't know what's wrong with me, my stomach hurts, then you can say it exactly that way. I mean, you are communicating and you want the doctor to understand them as much as possible, so you have to emulate them instead of being like, I don't know, my stomach hurts. You would have to emulate that emotion as well, and it could be so much fun. Now, of course, you have to be professional and serious and not go over the top, but it's still fun. Like, you can make it fun. And I don't know, it was something that I never thought of going into the program, that it can be kind of like acting. So maybe you haven't thought of that too. Maybe if you're an interpreter or have done interpreting before, maybe you could relate to this, or maybe you're like, nah, she's crazy, like, don't listen to her. But I don't know, it's just something that I've been thinking of lately. Also, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update since I've graduated now. I hope to make more videos, at least go back to doing videos once a week instead of kind of just disappearing for like a week or two. And then also, I'm still trying to, I know I've been on YouTube for a while, but I have no one to help me with editing and stuff. I look up tutorials, I try to talk to people as much as I can, but I just wish I had someone to help me with editing because I'm using a program other than Windows Movie Maker. I'm using a program from the 90s. Like, I talked to a film professor to try to get help and advice on what to use, preferably that's free since I don't have any money, being that I'm in college and everything. Well, I was in college, so I didn't have much of a budget. And then as far as lighting goes and how to edit and everything, it's so laughable. I was like, yeah, you're definitely going to tell your students that someone came in and was using 90s equipment for filming. Or at least not for filming, but for editing, which is like super embarrassing. But of course there's that, the lighting, the sound, graphics. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, and if any of you are good at that or could point me to like a really good tutorial or a really good program, especially a program where you could record your screen on your computer, specifically Skype calls, because I would love to do collaborations with other channels, but put those on my channel, because I've been in other people's collabs before. So if you know anything for that, that would be super helpful. As I said, specifically free, but I guess, you know, if I have to spend money, then all the good products usually cost a lot anyway, right? So, yeah. Let me know if you know any tips, anything helpful. I'm asking you guys for help this time. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video and share if you think that there's someone who may be interested in interpreting or never thought about it this way before, and you show them this to show them there are fun parts of interpreting as well. Alright, see you guys next time. Bye!